Well, we have unseasonably warm weather in Wisconsin, in northern Wisconsin. It's the middle of November, almost deer season, and there's weather reports of 50 degrees. Typically, a lot of times, there's snow all over the ground up here. Lakes are starting to freeze. But we're gonna go out here, and there's a lot of these small lakes around the Phillips, Wisconsin area, and see if we can't figure out these muskies. There's a lot of good muskie fisheries in this area, so I brought along good friend John Carlson. Actually, they family own Ross's Sports Shop in Phillips, Wisconsin. He runs a great guide service out of there. And believe it or not, we even let my brother-in-law, Dustin Hoye, out of the office. Usually he's the one putting these shows together, and we're gonna let him come out and do some muskie fishing. So John's gonna take us to a few of these lakes. We're gonna try to figure out these muskies and show you the next bite.
Just looking for the next bite, next bite, next bite. Just looking for the next bite.
Hundreds and hundreds of quiet, beautiful lakes, small, closely knit communities, and of course, muskies are usually some of the first images that come to mind when thinking of the pristine wilderness of northern Wisconsin. Professional muskellunge guide and part owner of Ross's Sports Shop, John Carlson, is very familiar why anglers come to small towns like Phillips, Wisconsin, especially when the leaves begin to fall and water temperatures drop.
We're on a small lake in northern Wisconsin today.
Dusty,
going after.
What are you doing? I told you you're fishing today.
Dude, it's just habit. I don't know.
Live bait is a staple presentation when chasing muskies in the fall. But professional tournament angler Chase Parsons and the Next Bite senior editor Dustin Hoye are joining John for a chance to explore a very unique structural situation for muskies, especially for this time of year.
So this is kind of a unique situation for me. One, I'm used to being on the other side of the camera, behind the computer, doing animation, editing, helping others to visualize the type of fishing situations that we encounter. This is fall muskie fishing. It's mid-November, but we still have green weeds. So structurally speaking, that's pretty unique too. What we're doing is we're keeping the boat in about 10 to 14 feet of water, about a cast length away from the edge of these green weeds. We're focusing on underwater points, particularly the points that stick out a little bit further. Those seem to be key areas. Trying to draw these muskies out of the weeds as they're feeding. If we can get them to follow in on like the suics or even a slower moving rubber bait like a double bulldog, we're hoping that we'll pick them up on the suspended sucker rod, or maybe as we're covering more water off the balloon system, the strike indicator with the sucker on it.
We were just coming out of the cup and actually headed down this shoreline, and John was explaining that this first point sticks out and there's a nice little cup as the wind's blowing into it. So I'm keeping the bow out.
And Dustin made a long cast over the top of the weeds, working that suic out over the edge of the weeds, and when he came to the edge, that fish hit.
Fish, fish, fish.
You got one, D? I had to look back because I really didn't even believe it.
Yeah, I got one.
Nice, man.
Yeah. Concentration.
All right. And then it got pretty quiet because I think he was concentrating so hard just to get the thing in the boat.
He was a little worried about it staying on the line. He kept saying, stay on, stay on.
Stay on, stay on. Just all I could see is it splashing around on the surface, and I'm thinking the entire time, the lure's coming out. The lure's gonna come out. And then they get it in the net, and it just was like, awesome!
Yes. Good job, brother.
Hey.
Careful now, D.
Play nice. I mean, I don't care that it's not the biggest muskie in the world. I got it on a lure, and I was just shaking like a leaf.
Attaboy.
There we go. All right. I mean, not the biggest muskie in the world, but it feels good.
I like it, man. Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah.
You know, Muskies are truly a Wisconsin fish with the green and gold coloring.
Yeah,
Yes!
it's a deep green. Go pack, go.
That's a pretty fish.
Thank you. I don't know if it's ready to go.
Rub its belly a little bit. They don't like getting their belly rubbed.
You good? You good? You strong? You gonna do it? Okay.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Goodbye. That was cold.
Brother.
Awesome. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
It's kind of far out too.
Yeah, it was. It was way out there. You're like fish, and I could see it on the surface, so I knew it was a fish. I was just making sure you didn't have a weed.
The next bite is brought to you by Mercury, #1 on the water. AmSoil, performance for serious adventure. Tracker Boats, fish the finest. Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here. Berkeley, catch more fish. And Motor Guide, trolling motors engineered for anglers. Closed captioning for the next bite is provided by Power Pole, the ultimate in shallow water anchors. Using slow-moving lures to get the muskies' attention and draw them from these late fall season weeds is proving tasty for the more tenacious.
Yeah, little guy.
That bait's almost as big as that fish.
Right.
But the main course is comprised of the 2 large suckers baiting the inner and outermost perimeter of the boat.
Got him? Yeah! All right!
As Chase, John, and Dusty pick apart the most prominent points amongst these smaller northern Wisconsin lakes.
It's fun, because he just took off, and then he sat there. It was almost like he wasn't even there for a little bit, and
I think he just
he
felt
decided
bad.
to go.
He was embarrassed.
He was embarrassed. Obviously, we're running suckers today, and one of the things you really want to do with northern Wisconsin, wherever you're going to be, is really check out the regulations. Counties like Sawyer County, Iron County, and northern Wisconsin, you can only run 2 of these suckers. So 3 of us are casting. We are running 2 suckers off the boat, but the location and how we're running these suckers has been very important in getting as many bites as possible. One of the things we're doing, actually, we have a rod that's just hanging straight off the side of the boat with the sucker suspended down about halfway down. The nice thing about keeping a sucker right off the side of the boat is when we might get follows in those casting presentations. Many times you'll actually get that fish, if it doesn't hit that lure, to go hit the sucker. The other thing that's been really cool is you can actually mark these muskies pretty easily when they come in. Big yellow marks. The other sucker rod that we're running is off the back corner of the boat, and we're actually running a balloon setup. There's a balloon, and then basically the sucker's below it, so you're kind of pulling it and just dragging it along behind the boat as you're drifting. Gets it away from the boat, covers a little bit more water, and John has a pretty good sense of humor running these happy birthday balloons. We literally just pulled into this area, and of all the structure that we fished, the shoreline structure, this point seems to stick out the furthest, and we're just pulling right into the cup, getting close to the tip of the point, and John and Dusty, it's almost like they both saw it at the same time. They saw that sucker rod that's just hanging off the side of the boat just start laying over.
It's going under the boat, so actually swing it that way.
Right here, probably?
Unbelievable, we just got here. Had to have Chase move the boat around and get us into position a little bit, and fish started to move away a little bit.
Awesome.
Got him?
Awesome.
I got him.
Awesome.
Fish came up to the boat pretty quickly, but then it took and made a power run away from the boat.
Come on.
No, it just took off. It's spinning in circles here. Here it comes.
Yeah. Dusty, thank God, didn't go after it with the net and hit it in the side or anything, so he did a pretty good job, waiting on that.
Sure, a pretty fish this time of year.
You saw that one too. The rod was just starting to bend, and you're like, I'm pretty sure that's a fish. Yes, it was.
See you later.
The Real Deal, real fishing information from real fishing experts, presented by AmSoil.
One of the best techniques to not only catch a lot of walleyes, but oftentimes the biggest walleyes in your system is crankbaits. And the reason I think that is because crankbaits can entice both a feeding bite and a reactionary striking bite. Now, when you start looking at crankbaits, there's a lot of them out there, but there are basically two main styles that you want to look at for walleyes. You want to look at shad style baits, and you want to look at the thinner, longer minnow style baits. I'm going to mainly talk about this one here because it's one of the hottest ones going right now for walleye fishing. This is called a flicker minnow. Now, the thing about a flicker minnow is that it was designed, first of all, to have the right action. It's got roll to it, but it's also got a snakiness to it, and that's what the minnow style baits need. Now, the next thing you want to look at when you're actually picking out which bait you're going to use is a couple of different factors, and the first one is going to be size. A lot of people make the mistake of picking out the size of their bait based on how deep they want it to go. Depth is important, we'll talk about that in a second. But probably the more important thing is to look at the action of the bait. And what I mean by that is, first of all, like say you're fishing tough conditions, a cold front, cooling water temperatures, you want to look at a little bit more subtle action. That's when I go to the smaller size baits, like say a 5, this 5 or a 7. If I'm going to go to where the weather's real stable and it's consistent, maybe I've got bigger fish in the system, that's where I move up to a 9 or an 11 type bait. Now, the cool thing about these flicker minnows, they go all different ranges. They go very, very deep though for the subtle action that they have, finessey kind of an action. You know, the number 5 can go all the way down to 14 feet on monofilament, 10-pound XT. You can go all the way down to about 24 foot on the number 11 with XT. If you go to Fireline, which is a little thinner, you can get all the way down to 30 foot deep. So impressive dive curves. Now, the next thing you got to look at is obviously colors. You know, a lot of people think color is the first thing you should look at, but again, look at the action and the size. But those colors are very, very important. A lot of times when I'm looking at fishing these, you want to do one of two things. You either want to match the hatch, but don't be afraid to go gaudy. Easily half of the time we use purples, chartreuse, pinks, all kinds of weird colors, and just really let the walleyes tell you which one is right. So there's two different styles of baits, shads and flicker minnows. Between those two, you got a 1-2 punch to put a lot of fish in the boat.
With so many of these northern Wisconsin lakes looking real similar in terms of shoreline and structure, all I'm doing is almost letting us drift down these shorelines where there's a lot of reeds and there's sunken points sticking out from those reeds. Those are the key areas that we're looking for, but I'm keeping us with the bow mount in roughly 10 to 14 feet of water. Now in boat control, that sounds very easy, but when we get these bites on the suckers is where it can be pretty chaotic. When you get those bites, the first thing you want to do is have someone grab that rod, and if it's Dusty or John, basically they're telling me which way the fish is starting to run. And the first thing I'm worried about is making sure that the boat is clear of the fish, so that fish isn't swimming right under the boat. Once that line and that fish are clear from the boat, what you want to do is position that boat with the bow mount, and I'm just simply doing it with my foot pedal, to where that fish is starting to move away from you. When that fish starts running away from you is where you're going to get that good hookup rate. You're going to be able to set the hooks into that fish's mouth instead of pulling those hooks away. So really important, casting these baits, simple. We're following shorelines. I'm following a depth. But when those suckers bite, be really careful. Make sure those lines are clear from the boat, and make sure that fish is swimming away from you. Get a good hook set, and a lot of those muskies are going to end up in the net. We're out in like 16 feet of water just off the deep edge of one of these underwater points, and a giant mark comes up on the bow.
So you guys are seeing a mark?
Oh yeah.
Then I ended up looking at the one in the back here, and I could see the fish on. Right? Fish on. There's one.
No way.
Chase, you get that one.
No, go ahead, D. I'll get the boat where we need it to be. That's gotta be that fish, guys.
Twice.
And actually that fish ran pretty much right away, so Dusty just set the hook, got a good hook set on it, and it was pretty cool because we saw it 2 or 3 times before it actually got up to the surface. That was unbelievable. I guarantee that's the fish we were marking.
It has to be.
Unreal.
It has to be.
He's up. He's up already.
That's a good fish.
Oh my goodness.
We marked this thing. It was hanging by the boat, John. Oh man.
Finally it comes up and we got to look at it, and it was like, oh yeah.
You got him.
Cool. Oh.
What are you doing? Giving you the roll.
Come on. Get in the net.
The fish was thrashing. It actually unhooked itself. Happens a lot. These bigger fish will be thrashing in the net, and you got a couple of hooks on that bait, and they'll get hooked up in the net, and they'll unhook themselves. So it makes a nice, easy, quick work for us.
And then we got to watch Dusty try to lift it up, which was actually one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Come here! Come on in! Hey, come on in! Come on in, brother!
Okay, that took some work. That might have been harder getting him out of the net than fighting, but I don't know.
Well, that's a beautiful fish.
Look at the slime.
Nice fish.
Look at the teeth.
Yep.
That is how fishing is supposed to work. You mark them and they bite.
Oh, that's awesome when they do that. Some of the tackle we're using today are bulldogs. This is a rubber lure. It's got a real slow presentation that you need in the fall when the water temps are cold. This one's got double tails on it, and I really like the double tails because it slows that lure down. You pull it and it kind of falls down slow. The other thing I like to use is a suic. It's kind of a timeless, legendary lure. Everybody's got one in their box. They don't know what to do with it. You pull it along over the shallow weeds and the ledges that we've been fishing, and it kind of pulls down into the structure, and it'll back up. And it pauses, it's got a real nice hang time, and the fish just like that this time of year. We're also using Z-Leader's quick strike rigs. It's got a small single hook on the front and 2 treble hooks on the side on different leads. One's a little longer than the other. And one hook goes in front of the dorsal and one kind of behind the dorsal on the side. We're hanging one of these over the side of the boat with a sucker on, and fish are following these lures to the boat, and they see that sucker and they grab it. The other one's being drugged behind the boat underneath a bobber. In this case, we're using balloons because I always used to use slip bobbers, and they started freezing up. You go out here on these mornings and it's 30 degrees out and everything's freezing, your eye tips, that slip bobber freezes solid too. So I started tying balloons on. I can adjust it to any depth that I want. You get a fish on, you can reel it right up through the balloon, you can reel your line up, and it's not getting stuck. Using slower moving baits in combination with the sucker harnesses will get you the next bite.
The next bite is brought to you by Mercury, #1 on the water. Amsoil, performance for serious adventure. Tracker Boats, fish the finest. Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here. Berkeley, catch more fish. Mustad, stay sharper longer. Lowrance, find, navigate, dominate. Motor Guide trolling motors engineered for anglers. Strike King, legacy of domination for 50 years. And Power Pole, swift, silent, secure. Hot topics, leading information, and tackle and techniques to make you a better angler. Presented by Mercury.
Walleye fishing has undergone a lot of technological advances through the years, but probably no more so than in the world of trolling motors. Trolling motors we have now are pretty amazing. You can steer them without cables. You can actually walk away from them if you want to and steer them from the back of the boat. But one of the things that I like to use them for is deep water probing. Let's say I'm fishing a deep water rock pile with jigs or shiver minnows. Basically, I can move around slowly, watch my graph, and oh man, if I see a fish there, I can immediately put it in anchor mode and sit right on top of that fish and concentrate on trying to catch them. Or let's say I'm moving around and I see a big boulder, and I see that boulder and it's got a hook next to it. I can immediately go to anchor mode and try to catch that fish. I don't have to worry about the wind and the current blowing me around and keeping my boat manually right on top of those fish. The motor does it automatically for me. If I'm fishing a bridge area and I'm moving around slowly, I'm probing for fish, maybe one of the guys in the boat will get a bite. Immediately I kick it into anchor mode and we try to work that area thoroughly to see if we can discover a small school of fish where we can catch multiple fish from one spot. So we're talking about pinpoint precision boat positioning with these new trolling motors. And I'm telling you, once you get used to them, you'll never want to go back to the old way of catching fish.
Lake hopping, an area of small Wisconsin lakes where abnormally green weeds are still alive along the shoreline in late fall, is proving to be about as successful of a day on the water as you could hope for when it comes to muskies. While Chase Parsons, John Carlson, and Dustin Hoye are getting bites both on the lures and the suckers themselves, the biggest fish have come from the quick strike sucker rigs.
So we were just getting set up, and all of a sudden John's like, fish, fish, off of the sucker rod.
So literally we have to spin the whole boat totally around, and then it took off exactly how he wanted it.
John just lays into it, and he gets the hook set.
Nice! Got him, John?
Yes!
All right!
Nice!
Yes!
That looks good.
It was one of those really cool things that you get to see water splashing all over the place. I'm watching Dusty. I can tell he's nervous to get it in the net.
So I try to net it right away, and it just turns and rolls and goes under the boat, comes back, and John's like, get it, get it, get it, get it! Whoa, 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 whoa. It just keeps rolling.
There he is.
Stop!
Get him, get him deep.
There she comes.
There it is. Yes!
All right. Great fish to have on a body of water like this. It's we're fishing these smaller lakes, and it's a nice fish.
There we go.
Oh, man. Look at that. That's a good fish.
That's a good fish.
Man, you
there.
just pounded him on the hook set.
Yeah, you gotta hook him. You gotta set it hard.
He's like, not yet, not yet. He's like, I'm gonna set the hook now, guys.
Yep.
Obviously some good boat control.
You rip that hook right out of that sucker into the mouth. So you gotta give a really hard hook set.
Not too bad for a guy with a broken toe, John.
Yeah, not too bad. I'm hobbling around the boat, but I can still catch fish.
Yeah.
All right.
So release that one.
Yeah. So, is that a female or male?
From the build of it, I'd say it's a female. It's a pretty heavy fish.
Okay.
Without actually inspecting it, I can't tell.
Fair enough.
Oh, wow, wow, wow.
Chase made me feel insecure and I messed up. What do you want from us? You will bite, you will fight, you will make it to the net. When I snap my fingers, you will awaken.
I got him. It's so sloppy.
Kind of a wimpy.
It's kind of a wimpy hook set.
Here, fishy, fishy.
Hi, Mom.
The next bite would like to thank John Carlson of Ross's Sports Shop. John specializes in not only catching muskies, but also educating clients on equipment, presentation, fish handling, and seasonal movements. For more information on Ross's Sports Shop, visit rossesonline.com.